Russian scientists have actually shown that our DNA can be reprogrammed by words and certain frequencies. According to scientists, only 10% of our DNA is being used for building proteins. It is a subset of DNA, where researchers are pointing their research. Their plan is to review and classify it again and hope to learn something very interesting in the process. The remaining 90% of DNA is considered junk DNA. I know many will not agree with a term like junk DNA, but continue. Interestingly, a couple of years, new formulas of Russian scientists, specializing in biophysics and molecular biology, showed that 7% of our DNA has a higher purpose and is in no way junk. According to recent studies, human DNA is a biological internet far superior to anything artificial. The Russian biophysicist and molecular biologist Pyotr Garjajev and his fellow scientists involved in research exposed, directly or indirectly, phonemes such as clairvoyance, intuition, spontaneous and remote acts of healing, self-healing, affirmation techniques, auras, unusual light around people, namely spiritual masters, mind's influence on weather patterns, and much more. In addition, there is evidence for a new type of medicine, in which DNA can be influenced and reprogrammed by words and frequencies without removing and replacing individual genes. They were used and merged together two different branches of science, linguistics and genetics, to explore 90% of junk DNA. Their results, findings and conclusions: our DNA is not only responsible for the construction of our body, but also serves as data storage and communication. Russian linguists found that the genetic code, especially in the apparently useless 90%, follows the same rules as all our human languages. To this end, they compared the rules of syntax, the way the words are put together to form phrases and sentences, semantics, the study of meaning in language forms, and the basic rules of grammar. The researchers were able to discover that the alkalines of our DNA follow a regular grammar and do have set as our language rules. So human languages did not appear coincidentally but are a reflection of our inherent DNA. The researchers also explored the vibrational behavior of DNA. They were able to discover that living chromosomes function as solid in holographic computers using the endogenous laser radiation on DNA. This means that they managed to modulate certain frequency patterns onto a laser ray, and with it influenced the DNA frequency and thus the genetic information itself. The basic structure of DNA, alkaline pairs and language, is of the same structure. So how is this? With the use of words and phrases, and words and phrases emit a vibrational frequency, as mantras or intonations of language. The substance of DNA in living tissue and not in vitro will always react to vibration frequency of the tongue provided by the laser beams, also known as modulated light, or even radio waves, if of course, the appropriate frequencies are used, and are selected for each substance you want to program. Autogenous training is a psychotherapeutic technique based on passive concentration on physical sensations. It is closer to the meditation techniques than those of suggestion or hypnosis. Hypnosis can have a big effect on humans and their bodies, as it is completely normal and natural for our DNA to react to language. Russian researchers worked on devices that can influence cellular metabolism through appropriate radio frequencies and modulated light, and thus repair genetic defects. Garjajev and his group succeeded in proving that with this method chromosomes damaged by 10 rays can be repaired, and they even captured information patterns of a particular DNA and transmitted it to another, thus reprogramming cells to another genome. Thus were successfully transformed, for example, frog embryos to salamander embryos simply by transmitting information patterns DNA. According to Garjajev and his research team, this experiment pointed to potential vibration waves and frequency of genetics, which are believed to have a greater influence on the formation of organisms than the biochemical processes of alkaline sequences. It is known that shamans, esoteric and spiritual teachers have long known at the potential of our body and mind. They have known that our body is programmable by language, words and thought. Now, thanks to Garjajev and his team, this theory has been scientifically proven and tested. Each individual must work on internal processes and maturity to establish a conscious communication with DNA. The relationship with the conscience of the individual is the degree of frequency of vibration and the ability to connect with DNA through meditation. It seems that after all, everything is connected. The team of Russian scientists also discovered that our DNA can cause very disturbing patterns in a vacuum, which can lead to the production of magnetized wormholes. Wormholes are believed to be the microscopic equivalents of the so-called Einstein-Rosen bridges in the vicinity of black holes. These are believed to tunnel connections between entirely different areas in the universe, through which information can be transmitted outside of space and time. The researchers say that this process of supercommunication is more efficient in a relaxed state. According to Garjajev and his team, stress, worry, or a hyperactive intellect can prevent such communication of DNA, thus making distorted and ultimately useless information. In the book Vernet's Intelligence Network, Grazina Gazer and Franz Bludorf explain these connections.